Welcome to her remarkable history. Remember, to support our channel, please subscribe. The forgotten English Joan of Arc. One of the most intriguing women in history is Joan of Arc, the peasant French girl who, despite being just a teenager, led the French army during the 100 Years' War. She was a valiant warrior who believed she had been sent by God to help the French fortunes in battle against the English. And many believed that she was a witch, and others believed she was mentally ill. Many people claimed that Joan must have been guided by some divine being as she stood up to the English and saw off the might of the English army. But for her efforts in battle, she was sentenced to death after she was captured and handed over to the English. In the centre of Rouen, the 30th of May 1431, the 19-year-old Joan was burnt in front of a huge crowd. She had been condemned for wearing men's clothes also, and as the flames rose higher, many witnesses claimed that they had burnt a saint and a woman sent from God. Many regretted it, even her enemies, but Joan has gone down in history as a warrior girl whose story is one of the most incredible and fascinating. But there was one woman during the Tudor period who came from England, who took part in a number of military campaigns, and Mary Ambree was considered an English army captain, despite being a woman. It was around this time that women were not considered valiant military figures, and many believed during the Tudor period that women were subservient to men. But during the time of Mary Ambree's military expedition, Elizabeth I was on the throne. One of the many problems Elizabeth had to deal with when she became queen is that many people looked down on her because of her gender and the fact she was a woman. Many in England questioned her strength and whether she was the right woman for the job, seeing off threats to England in the form of incredible fleets such as the Spanish Armada, but she did that, and it was a time where, despite managing to convince her closest courtiers that she was up to the job, things in society still were not equal. Elizabeth would have claimed that she had the body of a weak and feeble woman, but the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too. But one woman who would serve in Elizabeth's military, as mentioned, was Mary Ambree. Little is known about her early life. However, in 1584 she was part of the English army. It was said that she was an English army captain from Antwerp, and she took part in the liberation of the Belgian city of Ghent during the wars against the Spanish. Mary became a heroic figure at the time and in centuries after. She had not been written about a great deal in the history books, but she was part of a number of ballads written in the decades after her antics. She would have fought in Belgium, defending territory in the face of the Spanish, who were the most feared army across Europe at the time. But in 1584, despite fighting against them, the Spanish captured Ghent, and Captain Mary Ambree, along with a number of other Dutch and English volunteers, were captured as they fought to liberate the city from the Spanish. It was said she picked up arms as she wanted to fight for her former lover, who was killed, Sir John Major, a sergeant major who had been killed fighting during the siege. With this, Mary wanted to avenge her former lover, but despite this, she was captured too. Little else is known about what happened to her after her capture, but a ballad written about her talks about her actions. It reads, "When Captain Courageous, whom death could not daunt, had roundly besieged the city of Gaunt, and manly they marched by two and by three, but foremost in the battle was Mary Ambree. Thus being enforced to fight with her foes, on each side most fiercely they seemed to close. Each one fought for honour in every degree, but none so much as Mary Ambree. When brave Sergeant Major was slain in the fight, who was her own true love, her joy and delight, she swore on revenge his blood should not be. Was not this a brave bonny lass, Mary Ambree? She clothed herself from top to toe with buff of the bravest and seemingly to show. A fair shirt of May over that striped she, was not this brave bonny lass, Mary Ambree? A helmet of proof she put on her head, a strong-armed sword she girt on her side, a fairly goodly gauntlet on her side wore she, Was not this a brave bonny, lass Mary Ambree? Then took she her sword and her target in hand, and called all those would be of her band to wait on her person. They came thousand thee. Was not this a brave bonny lass, Mary Ambree? The drums and the trumpets did sound out alarm, and many hundred did lose leg and arm, and many 1,000 she brought on her knee. Was not this a brave bonny lass, Mary Ambree? The sky then she filled with the smock of her shot, and her enemies' bodies with bullets so hot. For one of her own men 100 killed she. Was not this brave bonny lass, Mary Ambree? And then her false gunner did spoil her intent, her powder and bullets away had he spent, and then with her weapon she slashed them 3. Was not this a brave bonny lass, Mary Ambree? Then she took her castle where she did abide, her enemies besieged her on every side. To beat down her castle walls they did agree, and all for to overcome Mary Ambree. Then took she her sword and her target in hand, and on her castle walls shoutly did stand, so daring the captains to march any thee. Oh, what a brave captain was Mary Ambree! And her then they smiled, not thinking in heart that she could have performed so valorous a part. The one said to the other, we shortly shall see this gallant brave captain before us to flee. Why, what do you think or take me to be? Unto these brave soldiers so valiant spoke she, a knight, sir, of England, and captain, quoth they, whom shortly were mean to take prisoners away. No captain of England, behold in your sight, 2 breasts in my bosom, and therefore no knight. No knight, sir, of England, nor captain, quoth she, but even a poor bonny lass, Mary Ambree. But art thou a woman, and thou asked us declare, that hath made us spend our armour in war? The likes in our lives we never did see, and therefore will honour brave Mary Ambree. The Prince of great Pamar, head of her renown, whose long ad advance for England fares crown. In token he sent for a globe and a ring, and said she should be his bride at his wedding. Why, what do you think or take me to be, though be here a prince of great dignity? It shall never be said in England so free that a stranger did marry Mary Ambree. Then unto fair England she did return, still holding the foes of brave England in scorn. In valour no man was ever like she. Was not in this brave bonny lass Mary Ambree? Is this woman's praise? I'll here end my song, whose heart was approved in valour most strong. Let all sorts of people, whateverest they be, sing forth the brave valours of Mary Ambree. This ballad tells us a lot about Mary Ambree and her antics fighting for England, but she was a forgotten woman of the Tudor period. Further songs and stories were written about her, but she was a warrior woman who fought in the face of the most powerful army that Europe had seen during the Tudor period. Thank you for watching, and to support, please subscribe to Her Remarkable History. Thank you.